She never expected a simple journey to turn into a nightmare. Stranded, exhausted, and searching for help, she knocked on doors that quickly slammed in her face. Not because she was a stranger, but because of the color of her skin. Whispers turned into stares, stares turned into insults, and soon the weight of rejection felt unbearable. Just when hope seemed lost, one unexpected hand reached out, a gesture that would change everything. But kindness in a world built on prejudice always comes at a price, so ask yourself, what would you do when humanity and hate collide? The morning began like any other, calm and ordinary, with the sun stretching its golden light across the harbor. The sound of waves lapping against the wooden pilings mixed with the cries of seagulls that circled overhead. Emma breathed in the salty air and let the breeze brush across her face. For her, the sea was more than water and waves. It was a promise, a reminder that life was bigger than the town she was born into. At just 21, Emma carried dreams that often felt too big for her shoulders. She worked as a deckhand on the ferry that carried tourists across the bay, guiding them to sandy beaches and quaint seaside towns. To most, it was a routine job. But to her, it was a stepping stone. Every paycheck pushed her closer to her dream, studying marine biology, traveling the world, and proving to herself that she could rise above the narrow expectations others placed on her. Her family believed in those dreams, even if they didn't always say it outright. Her mother, a woman who had endured a lifetime of being overlooked and underestimated, often reminded her, "Keep your head high, Emma. Don't let anyone tell you where you don't belong." Those words had been passed down like an heirloom, from grandmother to mother to daughter, forged out of necessity. Emma understood. She had seen the way people sometimes looked at her family, the way kindness seemed to evaporate once skin color was taken into account. Still, she tried to believe in the possibility. She told herself the world was changing, slowly, painfully, but changing. And if she worked hard enough, if she proved herself enough, maybe she would be part of that change. Her days followed a rhythm she had grown to love. She arrived at the dock before sunrise, when the water was still quiet and the mist clung low to the waves. She helped tie off ropes, check equipment, and greet the first passengers with a smile that she sometimes had to force. Some days her smile was met with warmth, but other times it wasn't. There were the tourists who hesitated before handing her their tickets, their eyes scanning her face as if deciding whether she was trustworthy. Some passengers asked to speak to someone else after she answered their questions. And then there were the stares, subtle, unspoken, but heavy. Emma had learned to carry those moments quietly. She didn't argue, didn't confront, and didn't give them the satisfaction of seeing her break. She told herself she was tougher than their prejudice, but each small encounter left its mark, invisible scars she couldn't show. The ferry crew was a mix of personalities. A few co-workers treated her like family, joking, sharing meals, and standing up for her when they saw others' dismissive behavior. But others kept their distance, speaking to her only when necessary. Their tone clipped, their eyes sliding past her as if she weren't fully there. Emma noticed, but she stayed professional, determined not to let anyone's bias derail her. Outside of work, her life was simple, but full of meaning. She shared a small home with her mother and younger brother, Malik. Her mother worked long shifts at a diner, her hands worn from years of labor, while Malik spent hours with his books, dreaming of becoming a teacher. Emma often stayed up late with him, helping with homework by the soft light of their kitchen lamp. Those quiet nights were her favorite, a reminder of why she pushed herself so hard. She wanted Malik to grow up in a world where his dreams weren't questioned before they even began. Outside of work, her life was simple, but full of meaning. She shared a small home with her mother and younger brother, Malik. Her mother worked long shifts at a diner, her hands worn from years of labor, while Malik spent hours with his books, dreaming of becoming a teacher. Emma often stayed up late with him, helping with homework by the soft light of their kitchen lamp. Those quiet nights were her favorite, a reminder of why she pushed herself so hard. She wanted Malik to grow up, in a world where his dreams weren't questioned before they even began. Emma told herself she could endure it. She had goals, plans, and enough fire in her to outlast anyone who doubted her. But deep down, she longed for a world where she didn't have to carry herself like a shield every day. One evening, after finishing a long shift, Emma prepared to catch the last ferry home. The sun was already sinking, painting the horizon in shades of orange and red. Tourists hurried past her laughing, dragging suitcases and snapping photos. Emma moved with them, her own small bag slung over her shoulder, her body tired but her spirit light. She thought about home, her mother's warm voice, Malik waiting with stories from his day. But as she approached the dock, her stomach dropped. The ferry horn sounded, long and final, as the vessel pulled away from the pier. Emma broke into a run, waving and shouting, but it was too late. The last ferry of the night was gone. She was stranded on the opposite side of the bay. At first, she brushed it off as an inconvenience. She could handle this. She would find a place to rest, wait for morning, and return home on the first boat. She even laughed at herself. Of all days to move slowly, she muttered. But as the crowd thinned and the streets grew quiet, reality began to set in. The town she was stranded in was small and picturesque for tourists, but unwelcoming to those who didn't quite fit its image. Emma walked down narrow streets lined with tidy shops and glowing inns, suitcase in hand. She approached the first inn, hopeful, but the receptionist glanced at her once, shook their head, and claimed they were full, even as a family of 4 walked in behind her and was handed a key. Her stomach tightened. She tried the next inn, then another. Each time, the same excuse. No rooms available. Yet she saw the truth in their eyes, the quick, uncomfortable glances, and the hesitation in their voices. By the 4th rejection, her steps grew heavier. The night air pressed colder against her skin. People passed her on the street, some with pity, others with disdain, as if she were invisible, or worse, a problem to be avoided. Emma felt the sting of humiliation rising in her chest. She tried not to cry. She tried to stay composed, reminding herself she had faced worse. But as each door closed, she couldn't shake the growing fear that she had nowhere to go, that her presence alone was enough to push her out of sight. And just as she began to lose hope, just as her legs threatened to give out beneath her, someone noticed. A quiet voice called out, breaking the silence of the night. A stranger stepped forward, not with suspicion, but with humanity. A gesture that seemed small in the moment but would alter the course of her life. Emma didn't yet know that this night would become a story she would never forget. A story that would reveal not just the cruelty of prejudice, but the unexpected spark of love and kindness that can shine even in the darkest places.